Hello and welcome back to Forestedge Kart Club. It's still the 3rd of July 2022 and round 6 of the Blue Challenge is still in progress. As the juniors finish their race in the background, the senior blues are lined up on the grid, ready and raring to go for their final. 9 minutes plus a lap in store once again for the Formula Blues. And going into this round, it's Joey Foster leading the way by 2 points ahead of Dave Watts in the championship. Anthony Cleal in 3rd ahead of Mike Bell, with Paul Alexander and Kieran Quirk even on points 5th and 6th. Nigel Vickery, Tom Parker and Sylvain Vessia make up the top 9, with Chris Underhill and Chris Lord even on points for 10th and 11th. Ben Joseph 12th ahead of Steve Groves, Robin Stoddard-Stones and David Waldron completing the top 15 with 3 points separating the 4 of them. However, Joey Foster and Dave Watts both absent this round, so they're going to drop. We shall see how that makes a difference in the standings. In the Blue Masters, it's Joey Foster leading the way once again, Anthony Cleal in 2nd, primed to take over, Nigel Vickery, Paul Alexander, Chris Lord, Chris Underhill, David Waldron, Steve Groves, Ben Joseph and David Good completing the top 10, ahead of Robin Stoddard-Stones, Phil Shears, Rob Mortimer, Ron Schoen and Alex Kemp. In the Blue Veterans, it's Anthony Cleal leading the way, Nigel Vickery just with his nose in front against Paul Alexander, Chris Underhill and Chris Lord make up the top 5 ahead of David Waldron, Steve Groves, Robin Stoddard-Stones, Phil Shears and David Good. In the Blue Legends, Chris Underhill leads the way from Chris Lord, David Good in 3rd spot ahead of Robin Stoddard-Stones, with Ron Schoen, John Hartshorn, Adrian Helps, Kevin O'Neill, Stuart Gray and Mark Cook making up the top 10. And in the Blue Top Weights, it's Tom Parker leading the way with 4 points clear against Ben Joseph, Phil Shears in 3rd ahead of Rob Mortimer, with Ron Schoen completing the top 5. And in the 3 heats today so far, Anthony Cleal will win Heat 1 with Mike Bell in 2nd spot. Tom Parker, Kieran Quirk and David Waldron make up the top 5 ahead of Chris Underhill, Robin Stoddard-Stones, David Good, Nigel Vickery and Steve Groves completing the top 10. Heat 2 was also won by Anthony Cleal, this time from Sylvain Vessia. Mike Bell in 3rd spot ahead of Kieran Quirk and David Waldron, with Steve Groves 6th ahead of Tom Parker, Robin Stoddard-Stones, Kevin O'Neill and Nigel Vickery rounding at the top 10. In Heat 3 was a clean sweep for Anthony Cleal, Kieran Quirk in 2nd spot behind him, Mike Bell once again in 3rd spot ahead of Sylvain Vessia, with Kevin O'Neill making up the top 5 ahead of Steve Groves, Nigel Vickery, Chris Underhill, Robin Stoddard-Stones and Ron Schoen running at the top 10. And those results combined to make the grid Anthony Cleal with a clean sweep lining up on pole position with Mike Bell alongside. Row 2 is Kieran Quirk and Sylvain Vessia with Steve Groves making up the top 5. David Waldron 6th ahead of Robin Stoddard-Stones, Tom Parker beating out Chris Underhill on tiebreak ahead of Nigel Vickery rounding out the top 10 ahead of Kevin O'Neill on tiebreak. David Good is 12th ahead of Ron Schoen and Mark Cook, with Harry Smithson and Chris Lord rounding out the back of the grid and a non-start for Ben Joseph. And all that going on the 2nd rolling lap in progress, so the field that goes through Anson's and up towards the bus stop and the cut through. Anthony Cleal slowing the pace down, Mike Bell alongside him, so keep an eye on Cleal, keep an eye on the lights. As through the cut through goes the pack, a nice slow rolling start from Anthony Cleal. And here we go, and the drivers put their foot down and across the line 3 wide for 2nd spot, but it's a false start, so everyone's going to have to sort themselves back out. Chris Underhill takes a bit of a ride over the back of Robin Stoddard-Stones, and now it's up to the drivers to sort themselves back out into grid formation. Mike Bell leading the pack around, Anthony Cleal there picking his way through, so a false start. A few nerves and a few jitters getting to some people as they're going to reform the grid. So once again down through Winger's Dip in their 2x2 formation. You can see Mark Cook has dropped to the back there. Now on board 6th spot for David Waldron. You can see Anthony Cleal forcing Mike Bell to slow down to him. Cleal already playing mind games and the race hasn't even started, but here we go once again, attempt number 2. And away we go, and it's a very even start from the front 4 as everyone goes round the kink of Anson's and now into the Haynes Loop, and Bell challenging Cleal on the outside already. Sylvain Vessia is going to move up into 3rd ahead of Kieran Quirk, and in the background there that's Tom Parker slotting down the inside of Steve Groves. But down the hill towards Wingers for the first time, Bell still attacking Anthony Cleal. Robin Stoddard-Stones going round the outside of Steve Groves as well, and Anthony Cleal has not got his carb set right, and Bell looking to try and take advantage into the bus stop on lap 1. Nothing doing there though as Parker slips by Waldron and a bit of a chain reaction in behind, but Bell up for the lead. Bell takes the lead in midgets as everyone's going to fly up side by side. Anthony Cleal fighting back already though as they're going to go side by side through Climate. Cleal going to lean on Bell a little bit and down into Tollies. And that's Sylvain Vessier going up the inside of Bell, so it's all to play for at the front. It's 5 for the lead. Cleo, Vessier, Bell, Quirk and Parker into the Haynes loop for the second time of asking. Bell looking at the back of Vessier, who's already attacking Anthony Cleo. Cleo not managing to get into his rhythm due to all these attacks, it seems like, but Bell now on the back of Vessier. Quirk in there as well. That's Chris Lord on the back of Chris Underhill, so he's made a good start. And now Bell having to think about it against Vessier into the bus stop, but nothing doing this time by. Steve Groves on the back of Robin Stoddart-Stones and David Waldron just in behind. Nigel Vickery in there as well. David Good attacking Ron Schoen with Harry Smithson for company. As that's Kieran Quirk washing a bit wide. Tom Parker looks to try and stick his nose in as they go through Tollies. Still 5 for the lead, and then everybody else in the next train. David Good now got an overlap against Ron Schoen as they go across the line. Oh, and a bit of contact, and that sounds like a chain snapping. Ron Schoen's gone around regardless. Through goes Mark Cook. Schoen spins it round, and he's going to catch back up after the field. But back to the lead. Vessier gets a good run through Ansons against Anthony Cleo. We're on board with Mike Bell and Vessier going to the inside of the bus stop. Oh, and contact! And everyone just parts and Bell goes through. Cleo is around. Vessier is dropping as well, and Anthony Cleo's going to have to wait for all the rest of the pack to go through. Back on board with Waldron, and that's Tom Parker now attacking Sylvain Vessier. So Vessier's move for the lead has seen him dumped straight back down to 4th, but Anthony Cleo is nowhere to be seen. It's Mike Bell now leading the race with Kieran Quirk in at 2nd spot. That's Kevin O'Neill attacking Chris Underhill, and there's Anthony Cleo. He's dropped all the way to the back of the pack. Steve Groves likewise seems to be having a problem, and Ron Schoen closing in on the back of Mark Cook. Is now down towards Winger's Dip once again. O'Neill still on the attack against Chris Underhill. As for the lead, it's Mike Bell with Kieran Quirk hot for company. Tom Parker up in 3rd spot with Sylvain Vessier already back on the attack as we jump on board with Vessier. And Vessier up into midgets. That's going to be a move for 3rd spot unless Parker can get back underneath him. Doesn't look like it, so that's a move for 3rd. In the background there, that's Kevin O'Neill still attacking Chris Underhill as Sylvain Vessier uses a lot of that exit curb. Quite treacherous that. It's going to compromise your exit. There's Anthony Cleo. He's got ground to make up to the back of the pack, but he's gotten by Steve Groves, who's smoking quite a bit. But back to the lead. Bell and Quirk down into Winger's Dip ahead of Vessier with Tom Parker close company. Harry Smithson on the back of Chris Lord as well. But Kieran Quirk starting to pile the pressure on against Mike Bell for the lead of the race as they go up the hill towards midgets. Meanwhile, further back, Chris Lord now attacking Chris Underhill and Harry Smithson involved as well. Anthony Cleo closing that gap as round Tollies start another lap. Bell with Quirk right on his bumper, and Quirk actually having a look into the inside of the Haynes loop. Going to back out of it. Looks to be a breakaway top 6, 3 groups of 2. Bell and Quirk, Vessier, Parker, Waldron and Stoddart-Stones. And it's Nigel Vickery leading the next pack with Kevin O'Neill right behind him. Is through Ansons they go, and that's Chris Lord looking to get through against Chris Underhill. And Anthony Cleo with the bit between his teeth is charging the pack down. As the leaders up through midgets once again. Chris Lord looking to the inside against Chris Underhill. And Harry Smithson's going to get caught out in the dust on the outside. It's 5 for 7th spot as things stand. But it's 3 for the lead now as Sylvain Vessier right on the back bumper of Quirk. There's Nigel Vickery leading a train of carts across the line. Kevin O'Neill looking to the inside though through the Haynes loop. As back on board we go with Vessier. Not sure if Quirk's attacking or defending there, but he's going to the inside of Winger's Dip regardless. And now back up the hill towards the bus stop. Quirk looking to the inside of Bell. Bell does throw a defensive move in there as through the bus stop they go. And it's closing right up Tom Parker now back in this queue. Well and truly. As back on board with Vessier. It looks like Quirk's got a good poke. But round climb it, Vessier's going to close to the inside and he's going to lunge and move down on the inside into Tollies. Going to make it stick and Vessier has no choice but to slot in behind. Meanwhile further back Kevin O'Neill's managed to get past Nigel Vickery. As Harry Smithson attacking Chris Lord still. As the lead group goes past the grandstand. David Waldron in the bright yellow cart is in the real box seat for this one. As up the hill go the leaders, and that is Harry Smithson slotting a move down the inside of Winger's Dip against Chris Lord. Meanwhile, Parker on the back bumper of Quirk as they go up the hill. And that's a mistake from Kevin O'Neill. He's had to go straight through the bus stop, it looks like. And up at Climate, O'Neill's run wide. Through goes Nigel Vickery. Harry Smithson looking to take advantage as well and get past Chris Lord as down the hill and round Tollies go the front six. And it's Vickery, O'Neill, Smithson did make it past Chris Underhill. Then it's Chris Lord and Anthony Cleal now on this group. I think he's in about 12th spot for some rough maths, but down into Windsor's Dip go the leaders. Sylvain Vessia starting to close the gap back up to Mike Bell. And Cleal looking down the inside of Chris Lord, but to no avail as Lord slams the door. Back up the hill towards Midgets, that front four starting to eke away from Waldron with Solart Stones in tow. Nigel Vickery running a defensive line against Kevin O'Neill, Harry Smithson in there as well. And it looks like O'Neill actually has passed Vickery, so that's a change for 7th. We'll soon see as they come down through Tollies. And yep, O'Neill in front and Harry Smithson up over the curb on the inside of Vickery. Oh, and Vickery on the curb and he goes around, he collects Chris Underhill and Vickery in the wall. He's going to get back going again. But for the lead, it's Vessia down the inside into Windsor's Dip and they're both going to run wide, Vessia and Bell, and through goes Kieran Quirk to take the lead. So a 4th different leader of the race is Kieran Quirk up into the bus stop. Bell holds 2nd and Vessia is going to lose some ground in the bus stop and Tom Parker is going to be back on him once again up through Climate. Sorry, up through Midgets as Parker switches to the insides, we can see from David Waldron. And he's going to make the move in Climate. Tom Parker with the very distinctive helmet down into Tollies, makes it up to 3rd. Karts 14 and 15 battling away though. Waldron looking to close in. But for the lead, Kieran Quirk. Can he win his first Formula Blue final? Mike Bell will probably have something to say about it, but we'll soon see as the clock ticks down. There's Kevin O'Neill and Anthony Cleal has really taken advantage and he's now made his way up into 8th spot as Harry Smithson once again looking to try and get back past Chris Lord. Bell looking at the inside of Quirk through Midgets, nothing doing this time by though. And back down the hill, Harry Smithson looking to get a run once again on Chris Lord, Chris Underhill in tow still. And Sylvain Vessia all over the back of Tom Parker. And that's Steve Groves battling away with Ron Schoen. Didn't look like Groves was going to make the move there. Harry Smithson still hot on the tail of Chris Lord as the leader's starting to close in against Mark Cook. And up the hill towards the bus stop goes Kieran Quirk leading the pack. Mike Bell right on him. And the gap's going to come down through the bus stop. Quirk going to run a defensive line up the hill, so too does Parker. And now into Climate, Mark Cook moving out of the way for the lead group. They're going to hop on board with David Waldron and Parker's going to catch Cook at the wrong time. Oh, and Vessia trying to get a advantage against Parker and he's clipped Cook. Goes over the top of him. Mark Cook spins off to the left. Vessia keeps going. That's Steve Groves going into the pits in the background. But Vessia in 4th trying to take a bit too much of an opportunity. And now David Waldron's going to be on the attack. But Mike Bell having a look for the lead. Nothing doing on the way into the bus stop, but can he get the run through on exit? Quick glance over the shoulder from Quirk. Doesn't feel the need to defend. They're going to be bumper to bumper through Midgets. And now David Waldron's closed right in against Sylvain Vessia. As the leader's down through Tollies. Another look over the shoulder from Quirk. Really keen to know where Mike Bell is at all times as round the Haynes loop that gap closes and then opens back up again past the grandstand and down the hill. There's Parker 3rd and Vessia with a proper chicken wing side pod in 4th. David Waldron is closed right in but there's a yellow flag out. Anthony Cleal on the back bumper of Kevin O'Neill further back as well, so Cleal's charge is being halted by O'Neill and that's why Mark Cook off to the side. He'll be out of this race, but Bell looking for the lead through Midgets. Seems to be where Bell has the advantage against Quirk as they go round Climate and down in towards Tollies to finish yet another lap. And they're going to be side by side. No, Bell doesn't get the run out on exit. Vessia's still not scared of that exit curb. There's Robin Stoddart Stones in a strong 6th. And Kevin O'Neill holding off for the number 1, Anthony Cleal. Chris Lord and Harry Smithson seem to be locked in an endless battle, but down the hill goes Quirk and Bell. Parker in a strong third. Can Vessia close back in? The yellow flags are still out at the bus stop. No overtaking there. But Bell closing in once again against Kieran Quirk as they go up the hill. And launching a move into midgets. Bell looking for the lead. They're going to go side by side. Quirk going to try and defend around the outside of Climate. And he's going to hold it, but he's offline into Tollies. Can Bell switch back underneath? No, he can't, and the last lap board is out. So Kieran Quirk 1 lap away from winning. In the background there, Kevin O'Neill still holding off Anthony Cleal. Chris Lord and Harry Smithson still in the battle. And Chris Underhill looking to try and range back in, but down to the bottom of the hill. And Quirk's got a gap against Bell. That has opened up through the Haynes Loop this time by. Parker still in third in case anything happens. But through the bus stop for the final time. And it's a clean run from Quirk. Looks like he's got the gap. But up to the top of the hill. This is where Bell's been strong through midgets. Nothing doing there though. Parker still in third. They're not going to catch Ron Schoen in time as down through Climate go the leaders. And Quirk's going to hold it round Tollies and across the line.
Get up there!
And it's a good win from Kieran Quirk. Mike Bell in second spot as there's Robin Stoddart-Stones across the line. Kevin O'Neill's going to hold off Anthony Cleal. Chris Lord's going to hold off Harry Smithson and Chris Underhill in tow. Well, what a race that was, and it's a new winner for Formula Blue. High fives all around. Kieran Quirk taking the victory from third on the grid ahead of Mike Bell. Tom Parker in a strong third ahead of David Waldron. Robin Stoddart-Stones in fifth spot ahead of Kevin O'Neill and Anthony Cleal. Sylvain Vessia dropped down to 8th through a nose cone infringement ahead of Chris Lord and Harry Smithson making up the top 10. Chris Underhill finishing in 11th ahead of Ron Schoen recovering to 12th. Steve Groves and Mark Cook both coming in early, likewise Nigel Vickery after a trip into the tyre wall, and David Good is going to be rounding out in 16th ahead of the non-starting Ben Joseph. What that will do to the championship, Anthony Cleal is going to take the lead, but Mike Bell's going to close in on him. Kieran Quirk's going to move up into third ahead of Tom Parker. Sylvain Vessia into fifth ahead of Nigel Vickery, with Paul Alexander absent from this round but holding 7th. Chris Underhill, David Waldron and Robin Stoddart-Stones make up the top 10 ahead of Chris Lord, Steve Groves, Joey Foster, Dave Watson, Ben Joseph to round out the top 15. They're going to be ahead of David Good with Phil Shears, Ron Schoen and Rob Mortimer in behind. In the Blue Masters standings, Anthony Cleal is going to extend his gap at the top of the table. Nigel Vickery stays second ahead of Paul Alexander, with David Waldron, the winner on the day, up into fourth. Chris Underhill and Chris Lord make up the top 6 ahead of Steve Groves, Robin Stoddart-Stones, David Good and Ben Joseph completing the top 10, with Phil Shears in behind. In the Blue Veteran standings, it's Anthony Cleal leading the way ahead of Nigel Vickery once again. Paul Alexander third ahead of Chris Underhill and David Waldron, with Chris Lord, Steve Groves, Robin Stoddart-Stones, David Good and Phil Shears making up the top 10. In the Blue Legend standings, it's Chris Underhill still leading the way ahead of Chris Lord. Event winner Robin Stoddart-Stones moving up into third ahead of David Good, with Ron Schoen and Kevin O'Neill making up the top 6. And in the Blue Top Weights, it's a win on the day for Tom Parker, extending his lead against Ben Joseph and Phil Shears, with Ron Schoen and Rob Mortimer making up the top 5. That's all for the Blue Challenge from Forestedge. There's one more round to go at Clay Pigeon Kart Club. But next up is the Two Counties Kart Club Round 2 from Forestedge, so we shall see you then. Goodbye.
Solid performance, Dave.